Our air conditioner has gone out, and I'm tempted very much to preach on eternal judgment this Sunday because I think I have evidence of what it might be like. But I'm going to stick with my plan, and I'm going to talk with you Sunday about a passage that we know and most of us love. It's a passage where we get to see Peter making some of the same old human, ordinary mistakes that we do, maybe on a grander stage, but we see every man in Peter deny Christ. After he had beat his chest and proclaimed that he would never do that, he turns right around and does it. The term regular folks may not mean anything to you. It does to me. We refer to people as regular folks, and it is a compliment to say, they're just regular folks. I always saw that as a compliment. If someone said to me, "Hey, preacher, we like you. You seem like a regular guy." I had one of you out there in TV land that would remind me of the three S's that you were listening for on Sunday morning, and you would say, "Preacher, you did it again. Short, sweet, and simple. Thank you for that." And I saw it as a compliment. I guess I still do. We gravitate toward regular folks. We like them. The scriptures are filled in the New Testament with earthy, realistic type people. They're not superheroes. They're not people who don't show us their flaws. There's an intention in that. And the disciples are very much bumbling folks at times. Sometimes they are heroes, but they're a mixture of both, which most of our lives are made up of. They are regular folks. Politicians we gravitate toward. I won't create any controversy with anybody that most of us live to know, but we love Abraham Lincoln because we kind of felt like he was an everybody's man, regular folks. Most of us, FDR is a hero. He certainly, as I read about leadership, and he had flaws, he was regular folks, but we would see him that way, as having this quality of being able to relate to everybody. Truman, with all of his flaws, probably had the same quality. We gravitate toward movie stars who tend to make us think they are regular folks. There are many we can think of. Jimmy Stewart comes to mind. Who doesn't love Jimmy Stewart? Who doesn't love Tom Hanks, who just kind of seems like, as some people say now, everybody's dad, but he is everyone's person. He is regular folks. So Sunday, I want to talk a little bit about how this story of Peter and his denial of Christ is really good news for regular folks. Because in our own way, though, as I've said, not as bombastically, we all have the same and similar sins of denying Christ. We're given a test to see if we truly do believe what we say we do, and sometimes we fail those things. I want us to think through Peter's process, that when the test came, he just really flunked, and how he could have hidden away and never recovered from such an embarrassment. How forgiveness was full and free for Peter, even in his failure. I also want us to think a little bit about how our sins sometimes are very, very quiet, and they will consume us if we don't own up to them. Sometimes when we think no one is looking, or when what we say really doesn't matter much, quietly, those same sins can eat away at us and cause us great harm. Hitler's Willing Executioners was a book that had some insight for me about how human behavior can sometimes move from very simple sins to heinous sins. The leaders in the Nazi movement were heinous. They were awful. But what was extraordinary in how that evil came to be so prominently is that everyday people, regular folks in Nazi Germany, sort of just went along, working in concert, hand in hand with that evil by just turning their head or not getting involved. And so the hideous sins of the Nazi became ordinary when educated, good people turned aside and refused to acknowledge the sin. There's a scene in The Robe where, I don't remember it exactly, but where Peter's in conversation with the centurion, and the centurion says something like, I crucified him. And Peter says something like, yeah, but I denied him. I betrayed him. Let's think this week about ordinary folks, how all of us are guilty of ordinary sins, but how the good news of the gospel is that the Christ receives us and forgives our sins. And that's great news. There's nothing ordinary about it. We'll look at Matthew 26, 31 through 35, and then 69 through 75 as our text at the gathering on Sunday. I hope to see you there.